Hello and welcome back to An Abundance of Naught. I am your host, Garrett. I am partnered with Wade only this week.
He is not here today.
He is not with us once again.
And some people are going, oh dear God, no. Considering what happened last time. We will try to contain ourselves.
We'll try to behave a little bit. We make no promises. It is the 29th of April, 2015. And let's talk about some of the fun things that have been going on the past weekend. Wait.
Weekend? Jeez. My week's been crazy with, what's it called, with my times in the morning. Been waking up early. It's like, didn't change positions to get away from this.
Yeah, so you took a new role, they told you the hours would be better, and you're working crap hours.
Still, yeah. Well, again for this week, but...
Yeah. That is crap.
Oh, another thing they just kind of... If you feel a frustration in my tone, there's a particular event that happened earlier today where I required a manager's assistance in helping a customer, and there was none around, even though we had 3 managers on duty at the time.
Nice.
And they started having more overlapping managers on duty to handle this.
Mm-hmm.
But all 3 of them just vanished. I was like,
brilliant.
This is why we have this. Why are all 3 of you just vanishing? And the point is that this happens several times a day, where someone in the units will need a manager and they are nowhere to be found.
Yeah, that doesn't go well for customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything fun and exciting worth sharing beyond work?
No, not really. I've been trying to really get the channel on some kind of formation.
Yeah.
With a pattern or set.
A little bit of a schedule.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Taking up a lot of my time.
Well, there are worse things to do with your time. Let's see, myself. I feel like something happened Saturday. Oh, something did happen Saturday. Daughter had her singing recital. We were up in like Newport-ish area.
Right. Yep, went to that.
What do we do after that? We hit up a couple errands and
tried to go to the Dollar Theater, went the completely wrong way.
That was kind of a joke. We weren't really going to the Dollar Theater because I mean, the Dollar Theater may have had something decent because they play older release movies, but I knew nothing new was really out. We tried to go to the metal supply place. That wasn't open.
Darn.
Was there something else that we did Saturday?
Got lunch.
That's about it, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then Sunday, you were working.
Yep.
So I, with our mother, met up with our uncle who lives in L.A., We did brunch in Long Beach. I did my best to contain myself, as I've been known to be a bit abrasive in my history.
Mouthy?
Wade can attest to this.
A bit mouthy?
A bit mouthy, a bit, abrasive. So I tried to behave myself. I think I did well. And I've been looking at a fedora style, it's actually called a Panama style hat.
Watch out, ladies.
Well, that's right. And in Long Beach at the harbor, there is a shop called the Village Hat Shop, of which we got Wade's top hat at.
Call out. Village Hat Shop are awesome.
That's right. Well, you got yours, a year ago, right, roughly?
Yep, it was for my
25th
birthday.
Yeah, we happened to be up there, and which is interesting because you had a lot of the kind of cheaper fedoras, and I thought you'd gravitate more towards the fedora style, and you went with the top hat. And
more of a steampunk that I've been kind of having an affinity to this.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't have to be. You could clean it up if you wanted to, and go extreme traditional if you wanted with the top hat. I've always kind of been a fan of the fedoras from the Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal days.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found myself a nice Stetson Panama style hat. It's called the Temple. I very much like it. I posted a image of it on Twitter earlier this week. So, yeah, Aside from that, I think nothing much more to speak of.
What was fun was walking around WonderCon wearing my hat with the goggles on it, and actually getting, like, oh, nice. It's like, cool.
There
thanks.
you go. Yeah, mine's a little bit more classy. I mean, you can dress it down. You can dress anything down, but it's more geared towards formal dress, not traditional. Like top hat's a older style traditional.
Yeah.
I mean, my hat's still kind of an old style, but it's not as far of a throwback.
And screw you, I will dress how I like.
That's right. That's exactly right. I will do what I want. If you don't like it, that's not my problem.
Go complain about it to Twitter.
That's right. Please do. Hashtag Abundance Not. Okay, well, let's get into some movies. We've got 5 to speak about this week. Only one's really worth mentioning. It's the one everyone's looking forward to. And that would be Avengers Age of Ultron. It is rated at 72%, which is nice. I mean, it's not, the perfect movie by the critics, but it's definitely not a tanker.
Yeah.
From a rating standpoint. It is PG-13, so good for most people if you're okay with your kids hearing a little bit of foul language. Synopsis, just for those who haven't seen every trailer coming out.
If you've been living under a rock.
Some people choose to not see trailers so that they don't get,
It's kind
spoilers.
of hard. I mean, considering.
I know.
It's been blasting everywhere.
So the synopsis for this is when Tony Stark jumpstarts a dormant peacekeeping program, things go awry, and Earth's mightiest heroes, including, of course, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Incredible Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and more, are put to the ultimate test as they battle to save the planet from the destruction at the hands of the villainous Ultron. So, there's that.
I heard he does a pretty good job. I forget who does the voice, but I hear he does a pretty good job as Ultron.
Yeah, I'm not sure who does the voice. I mean, Paul Bettany does the voice of Jarvis. He actually gets a on-camera role this movie, not as Jarvis as I understand it. So he's got kind of dual credits on this one, which is good for him. So again, that's pretty much releasing everywhere. No surprise there.
Can I just say Robert Downey Jr. is missing a horrible move to not do commercials for Downey fabric softener? We just have him flying in the Iron Man suit and just be like, after he lands, it just takes it all off.
You
just
may
be
know
like,
me as
he's in a
Tony Stark,
he's
but
in a suit and he's just like, after a long flight, the clothes kind of get stiff. That's why. And when I do a presentation at the Stark Expo, I need to feel good. And when I need to feel good, I need my clothes to feel good. That's why I use Downey fabric softener.
there you go. Downey,
God.
you're welcome. RDJ, sorry? I don't know. Maybe.
Patent pending. You can't use that one. You need to pay it. Pay for that
so
scenario.
number 2 in the list this week is Far From Madding Crowd. It's 84%. It's PG-13. And the major theaters by us, there's no times for this.
I have never heard of it.
Yeah, nor I. No significant names in this one. It's based on a literary book by Thomas Hardy, which is Far From the Madding Crowd. It's a story of independent, beautiful, and headstrong Bethesda Everdeen.
Okay.
Interesting. Who attracts 3 very different suitors. Gabriel, a sheep farmer, captivated by her fetching willfulness. Frank, a handsome and reckless sergeant. And William, a prosperous and mature bachelor. The timeless story of Bethesda's choices and passions explores the nature of relationships and love, as well as human ability to overcome hardships through resilience and perseverance. Great.
In short, every relationship ever.
Yep, pretty much. Number 3 is Welcome to Me. Again, no real... what I'm trying to say is it's a limited release. It's not airing in any of the big three theaters by us,
And
which
again,
is also worth noting. All those theaters are Regal operated theaters.
never heard of it.
Correct. This is rated R. What happens when a young woman with borderline personality disorder wins the lottery? In the case of Alice, she quits her psychiatric meds and buys her own talk show. That sounds like it's going well. Inspired by the immortal Oprah, she broadcasts her dirty laundry as both a form of exhibitionism and a platform to share her peculiar views on everything from nutrition to relationships to neutering pets. Also starring in this, Wes Bentley, James Marsden, who you might know as Cyclops, Tim Robbins, Joan Cusack, Jennifer Jason Leigh or Leigh, and Linda Cardellini. So, I mean, there's some recognizable names there.
I say that would be an awesome talk show. You never know who the host is.
Well, you know,
any particular day.
You know who the host is. We don't really know who she is.
Is
I
it this
think I
person?
might have seen some
Or this
trailers
person?
for this, but again, it appears to be a limited release.
That would be an amazing talk show.
Anyone know any psychiatric people that want to be on a podcast? We might be looking. Number 4 this week, Hyena, 76%, currently unrated. Good policing doesn't necessarily mean doing everything by the book, but as the business of crime in London turns to favor the Albanians and Turks, how does a good policeman survive? So there's that.
I don't know.
Last but not least, Far From Me, 75%, also unrated, based in Algeria in 1954. While the rebellion rumbles in the valley, two very different men, thrown together by the world in turmoil, are forced to flee together across the Atlas Mountains. In the midst of an icy winter, Daru, the reclusive teacher, has to escort Muhammad, a villager, across, accused of murder. Pursued by horsemen seeking summary justice and vengeful settlers, the two men decided to confront the unknown. Together they fight to gain their freedom.
Winter's coming.
Something like that, I guess. Pull up the what is it? The box office stuff this week. 1 second. I know previously we talked about trying to see Avengers this weekend. I don't think I'll have the ability to.
I could probably swing it just because
Tomatoes.
some of my on Monday, I know Sunday I could. No, because most of my schedule is for next week is actually normal times.
Pretty
so.
standard, aside from
Yeah.
having Thursdays and Friday off, or Friday, Saturday rather.
Actually, I could probably go see it on Friday.
You probably could. I was hoping to see it Sunday, but I know my daughter wants to see it, so we may be looking at next Friday
Okay, well,
as a movie night.
I may.
In the box office this week, we have Furious 7 on top still at 17.8 million. Paul Blart at number 2 at 14.8 million. The Age of Adeline at 13.2 and Home at 8.0. Honorable mention this week is Ex Machina or Machina at 5.3 million.
And screw the people at Fast and Furious because they're making a Fast and Furious 8.
Yeah, I saw that and I'm kind of concerned. I
I'm
hope that it's like
disappointed.
a reboot or a branch off. Obviously, they kind of said a farewell to Paul Walker's character in 7. You didn't see it. But at
No,
the
I
end, they
haven't.
kind of got a farewell type deal. But I hope that if they do it, it's kind of a new cast and a new direction.
I think Vin Diesel said something about like that being his last one. 7.
I hope it is. I hope he kind of pays tribute to Paul by not perpetuating it without him. I mean, it was kind of their baby,
Yeah.
so to speak. So anyway, with that, we jump into some news.
Well then, starting off, we have a bit of a controversy with eSports, and specifically the Blizzard Heroes of the Dorm event that went off on ESPN2. Was it for a couple weeks now, I think? A week or
Okay.
two. Apparently, actual sports fans weren't taken too kindly to flipping on to ESPN2 and finding Heroes of the Storm being played or being showcased.
Well, that's their problem, as ESPN has the rights to air whatever the hell they want.
In continuing this, a new article came out speaking about we need to stop calling or stop believing that esports are actually sports.
I mean, it's a video game tournament, is really what it is. So,
I really wish I had the definition of sports at hand.
I mean, it's a competition between two or more people, so that's where the sport comes in. E stands for electronic. Realistically, it's a video game tournament.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's kind of, we can draw the comparison is that they refer to chess as a sport.
Do they?
I believe so.
I mean, if they refer to chess as a sport, then they're going to have a hard time trying to refute video game tournaments as a form of a sport.
Yeah.
It's skill-based, it's tournament category, it's competition.
Based on skill. I mean, it fills all the criteria of sports, I believe.
Yeah.
And some people would argue, well, if you're not really moving around, this is, well, you consider car racing a sport.
Car racing is a very taxing sport. I will defend car racing because
you're technically still sitting there.
But it takes a lot of training, a lot of knowledge, and it's very taxing. You're sitting in, say, a NASCAR, you're doing 200 to 500 laps, hours on end, not being able to move, being able to have to focus at such a high degree with so much at risk. I'll defend racing as a sport. I used to not, but I do.
And I'm not saying racing is not. I'm merely saying is that we have things that are being qualified as sports that really aren't all that physically taxing, but more mentally. And you want to talk about what's mentally taxing.
Do we consider poker tournaments a sport?
I think it is. I'm not
sure. I mean, it's a tournament, but is it considered a sport?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up.
I mean, if so, then again, you have a hard time saying that esports isn't valid if people sitting around a table using nothing but their mind and wit to compete, if you're categorizing that as a sport, then esports would have to kind of fall in that same category.
Chess, sport.
Yep, agreed.
So, and continuing on, we don't use the words gaming athletes when we're talking about, we use the word pro player or words, pro gamers or pro players, whatever.
Okay. My caveat to that is typically the term pro associated with any sort of sport or competition means people that make money doing it. That is their job.
Which these guys do. They go to
so
competitive game events and earn money.
If they're if this is their sole income, then the term pro applies.
Well, they probably subsidize it, but yeah.
Some don't have to. Anyway, continue.
So it's just saying people have been. I've seen some tweets that were pretty much along the lines: if you want to be confused, the F out. This is not the Game of Thrones podcast. Then turn on to ESPN2. I think this is probably just going to be an uphill battle that we're going to have to face till we are actually looked at as...
Well, I'm curious, I wish you had the figures for this, but what the viewership was. How many people actually tuned in to watch it? Because it doesn't matter how many people complained. If there were enough people that tuned in to watch it to where it was beneficial for ESPN, then it doesn't matter.
We do have multiple... I think we discussed this on a podcast where we had news... I think a news organization cover esports, and it wasn't, oh, look at these kids and their games, but they actually spoke about how the numbers of people watching exceeded like the World Series.
Yeah, and I mean,
we reported this on the podcast.
Yeah, and I remember that. And when you have that kind of a turnout and it becomes lucrative for the companies like ESPN or whatever, then they're going to keep doing it. It's all about the money.
And it's the advertisements, and because they know people see it. And, we go back to the numbers of how many people are watching Twitch on a nightly basis.
It's true. So controversy in that ESPN sport fans are not thrilled that a video game tournament is being aired on their sports channel.
Yeah.
Fantastic. If I were to talk about a $27 billion company, one who you're familiar with and that you recognize, if you were to pick a number as to what you think the CEO would be making for that company, you have any idea what kind of a number you would throw out there?
I know you're going with this, and I hate just to burst your bubble, but remember I saw the show notes.
Okay, can you entice the viewers?
I don't know, 'cause I know which company you're talking about.
What if I told you the chief financial officer made almost $4 million last year from this company?
Holy heck.
What if I told you this chief technology officer made $17 million last year from this company?
I'd say give me some, but okay.
So what? I mean, CEO for a $27 billion company should exceed the CTO. So 20 million maybe?
Ballparkish, yeah.
Sure, let's go with that. Elon Musk, CEO and founder of Tesla, yes, the $27 billion company, was offered a salary of only $35,000 for 2014, half of what his salary was in 2013. He accepted none of it. He took essentially $1 for legal purposes as his salary from Tesla to put his money back into the company and keep it growing. The company is required to present him a compensation offer. By law, they have to, hey, this is your pay.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they choose to accept it or not is a different story. Now, I didn't know this, but in 2012, Tesla and Elon Musk were having a rough go, and it was such bad shape that he almost sold Tesla to Google.
Oh, dear.
And we know now that Google's working on auto-driving cars. What if Google was the owner of an auto-driving, pure electric mega house like Tesla is now? It's unclear as to how large Elon's stake is in Tesla right now. But we know that the market, as of last Thursday when this article came out, the stock market closed at $219 a share, putting the company value at $27 billion. But we do know that Elon is a 21% stakeholder in his Solar City green energy company, and he's the founder CEO of SpaceX, the company supplying rockets to send supplies to the International Space Station.
Yeah, so I'd say, wow, he's in like 3 companies he owns. Jeez.
At least. Those are the 3 successful ones.
Yeah.
You know, who knows how many other ones he's got, on startup, so to speak. People who make money know how to make more money, man. But you can respect someone who says, yeah, I could have taken home 4, 17, $20 million from this company last year, and says, nope, the company needs it more than I do right now, and I will, take essentially nothing from this and put all my money back into the company, reinvest it.
Considering probably where he is, and he's obviously
he's not hurting to be able to do that.
How do I say he's satisfied for where he is right now?
Yeah, and he's looking at the long term.
Yeah, where he can just shove 7, 14, 20 mil back into the company.
Whatever. I mean, they only offered him $35,000, but you don't know if what the reason for that is when you got the CFO and CTO making over $20 million between the two of them.
Yeah. Okay. So probably more 25, 30 million back into the company.
Yeah.
Or it's that he just, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. I think it shows the kind of person that he is.
Yeah. Where some people would just take the money just to buy more and more stuff. He knows to put it back in, and I will see, obviously Tesla, SpaceX, and this was the green company,
Solar City.
Solar City, aren't going anywhere considering
Yep.
the amount of funds he can funnel into them.
What's an interesting fact, though, is yes, the CFO made $3.8 million last year. His salary or her, I'm not sure which, salary went in 2013 was less than 400 grand. So he went from $340,000 to 3.8 million in a year. If that sounds awesome to you, here's another number. The CTO, who pulled in 17 million 2014, only pulled in 460,000 in 2013. From 460,000 to 17 million in a year.
I love that right now people are listening to this. Well, not right now. And still waiting for a certain B word.
You mean that
with
the
their shot
companies?
glasses?
Well, we've said it twice already.
Oh, okay, so they're not waiting. Wow.
That Tesla is valued at $27 billion.
Take another.
That's right. I hope people do that. I hope you drink when we say billion.
And there's another.
I would, but we know what happens when I drink on this show.
Same here.
So, not healthy. So yeah, Tesla, Elon, doing good.
Making money, but putting it right back in.
That's right. And we're moving on.
Well, do you feel smarter than your non-gaming compadres?
I feel smarter because I'm just smarter and narcissistic.
Okay. Anywho. But narcissistic? Agreed. A new study published by the Scientific Reporters, I think it was a magazine or probably the internet site, has reported that the gamer has a larger brain than a person who does not play games.
I wonder what areas they're looking at or if it's something as a whole, because if it's like the frontal cortex, which is, I believe, focused on vision, decoding, so to speak, when you're constantly perceiving data from a screen and you're doing that for, hours and hours and hours on end, then that part of your brain's going to get utilized because you're focusing on what you're taking in instead of just viewing the world around you.
Well, it's for gamers, it's taking in the media, extrapolating, what is the best outcome, and then using that data on the fly, to
they're not writing it in a notebook and trying to figure it out for a week on end. It's instantaneous processing.
This is going on. This is the best way. Do it.
Yeah.
And so this published came out with gamers have larger portions of gray matter in some areas and improved neural connectivity over non-gamers. Using active MRI scans, the principal investigator, and I'm going to Dashon Yao, studied the brains of both gamers and non-gamers.
Okay.
Seeing an enlargement in the parts of the brain associated with tension and sensory motor function. So it's that thing where it's, I see this going on. I know what is going to be the best, what move I can do will be the best outcome.
Well, it's that, and it's taking in that data like we talked about, instantaneously acting upon it with fine motor skills, hitting keys, moving a mouse, not big movements, but strategic, planned out movements to try to get the best outcome possible in, a matter of milliseconds. They see it, they react to it, they act on it, they do it again. I
mean, if you want a clearer view of this, go watch any StarCraft. What is it? I can't think of the word right now. Competition. There we go.
Yep.
And when a certain player spots a certain building, they instantly know, okay, that certain building means this certain unit is going to be, and I need to build the counter to that.
Sure.
And that's just. You could say that's just memorization, but that's, knowing where to go, knowing what the
still
best
data processing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's quite awesome. This is like, I have a bigger brain than most
It's
people.
important to say, though, that just because you have a bigger brain because you train it in one aspect of your life doesn't make you a better person.
Yeah. It's like going to church doesn't make you a better person either.
That's true.
It's your
Your actions on a
yeah.
day-to-day basis are what make you a better person. Sorry, religious people, but saying you're sorry once a week doesn't cut it.
I'm not saying that I am smarter than everyone else in the world. I know I'm not. But I'm not the stupidest person in the world either.
Fair enough. We're big fans of sci-fi. I think it's safe to say.
Yep.
When I say force field, how do you react to that?
To be honest, I'm thinking StarCraft still.
You're thinking a big kind of plasma-ish orb to protect a
Units.
structure
Yeah.
or unit from any and all harm.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, as would most people. As we've been taught, the world of Star Wars and StarCraft with shields up and being able to take damage without actually receiving damage. What if I told you that force fields may not be sci-fi anymore?
I would say, go on.
So Boeing, the jet and aerospace company, has received a patent for force fields. Now, it's important to say that this is not the force fields of Star Wars and Star Trek and what we've been led to believe yet. This is not a semi-solid barrier to protect objects from impacts. However, it is a sort of barrier to protect from shock waves.
So it's a buffer.
It's a buffer. It's stage 1. But if they've had a patent, that means that it's not just an idea. It's something that they have thought out, that they've built either on a small or production scale, have implemented, tested, and proven that it does something.
Now, I can see the use for quote unquote force fields on planes is that if it starts to go down, the force field can absorb a decent amount of the landing, the crash,
yeah,
and pretty much save the plane from any kind of real structural damage, which would in turn save lives.
Potentially. Now, this is the article was, kind of vague. It didn't go into obviously the structure or power requirements or things of that nature. Just that a patent was awarded to Boeing for the technology of initial force fields, which I think is awesome. I mean, one step closer.
Yeah. And so you think just what of the purposes of force fields would be, completely in purpose. Important people, security, just
weather protection, storm warnings. I mean, if it can protect against shock and maybe able to protect against some degree of wind, because that's what shock is. It's moving air particles.
Yep.
What is wind? Moving air particles. That may be able to help protect some structures, at least at these early stages, from hurricane or tornado or just, high grade winds that could cause damage.
Wow. I just had the weirdest thought.
I saw your eyes kind of opened up a little bit.
Well, I was thinking, and it's probably really just sci-fi as we were talking about, of being able to control the shape of the quote force field, to where you could use it for not only just protection but other means.
Such as?
Well, as we all know, California down here is suffering a massive drought.
Okay.
What if we were able to take a force field and change it into the what a funnel would be, and then have rainwater from somewhere be funneled into tanks or whatever, and then shipped somewhere else?
Why not just build a funnel?
Well, to this one, when it's not raining, you can just turn it off. It doesn't take up any space.
Suppose that's an option. I mean, hydraulic rams and plates could do the same thing. You turn it on, the hydraulics would open up and create a fan funnel shape and funnel water into where you want it to go too. I mean, I suppose.
Huh.
But no, I mean,
There's
if they can create force fields, then the next step is making them more solid or structural, and then the step beyond that would be manipulating shape and purpose. Anywhere from potential aircraft situations to key structures to people.
even you can reverse it and make. I mean, if we had, I know I'm going off on a tangent here. If we go back to 9/11, where we had when the buildings fell and all the particles sprayed.
Create a force field to keep things in
Exactly.
instead of protecting things from getting in. You keep things from getting out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, a debris protection, implosion, building demolition implosion tool. I mean, who knows? Hell, I didn't even think we were going to see force fields in our life, and now we've already got phase 1.
Set phasers to stun. Here we go.
That's right.
And continuing on. Unfortunately, with the firing of Hideo Kojima, the man behind Silent Hill by Konami, the game company, fans were left with a question. What about the Silent Hill game?
Wah, wah, wah.
Unfortunately, with a interview with the collab in the project, I'm probably going to say Vladimir del Toro? Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo.
There we go. I said I'd say it wrong.
And the likeness of Norman Reedus, who people may know from the Walking Dead series.
Yep. It comes down to the fact that it's probably not going to happen. Doing to say that he was speaking about the collab between himself and Mr. Kojima, but not the game itself. So there may be another Silent Hill, but not in the collab with these two gentlemen, and they may be able to keep Reedus' likeness just because it's already been signed on, and I don't think Konami, the company, wants to kind of toss that aside.
It depends. Konami's in rough shape. I mean, they willingly pulled themselves off the New York Stock Exchange. They're going through what seems to be some pretty serious restructuring corporately, new management or whatnot, or liquidating some staff and assets. So, I don't know, man. Konami could quickly become a thing of the past. Maybe they'll sell the Silent Hill rights to another developer and publisher or something, but that's, when a company pulls themselves off the stock exchange, that's not a good sign for them.
Nope. But I don't know enough stocks to actually comment on that matter.
I mean, stocks are, people, us, you can buy essentially a portion of these companies. You can go buy a share of Apple, and that makes you a shareholder or essentially a part owner of Apple. Along with any other company you buy stocks from, you become a part owner. And some companies, they pay you dividends for owning stocks. So you actually can collect income from the stocks. The company's doing good. And as the company improves financially, the stocks go up, your value increases. If a company's doing really well, like Apple, the stock will split. So if you own one share, it could split into two, and now you have two shares at slightly less value, but combined worth more value than the one. And now when it grows up, the company improves, you get it doubled because now you have two shares instead of one. And then you can sell them at any time. Now, long-term investments on the right companies can be very lucrative for people. Some people make an income on day trades. They buy something in the morning and they sell it at the end of the day.
It's called flipping.
Yeah. They're called day trades. Usually on cheap stocks, you buy it for a couple pennies. If it goes up a penny or two during the course of the day, you sell, you've doubled your money. There are companies that do that. But when a company says, we're done, we're pulling off the stock market, anyone who held shares, I think, gets, shafted. I'm not really sure how that works, but it's not good for the shareholders.
I should just wish I had a fortune-telling ball to figure out what companies would go up and what was down.
I just want to go back in time 10 years.
Oh, yes.
I'd buy Google. I'd buy Apple. I'd buy Tesla. Pretty sure that's on the stock. It obviously is on the stock exchange. closed at $200 and some odd last week. I'd do those things, and then 5-10 years I'd sell it.
And we wouldn't be where we are today.
Nope, we'd be driving a Tesla. Okay, on to maybe this is bad news for SeaWorld, and maybe more awareness for us, the general public. Did you see the Blackfish documentary?
I think I caught parts of it.
On the orcas in captivity. For those that haven't, it's essentially a documentary bashing SeaWorld with supposed former SeaWorld animal trainers on the treatment, lifespan, and care or lack thereof of some of the marine mammals in SeaWorld's care. This being the orcas, the dolphins, those sort of things.
I see where this is going.
And SeaWorld's come out and said this is totally false. Those people that are on the show were never animal trainers, blah, blah, blah. They have no credibility to be speaking about this matter. Well, something SeaWorld has come out and said publicly is that they believe, well, first of all, that no one really knows what the lifespan is of orcas. SeaWorld says that in captivity they don't live much past 20 years. However, there was a recent sighting off the west coast of Canada by an orca named, I think it's J12. I could be wrong. Nicknamed Granny. This orca was originally sighted and documented in 1930, making her 15 years old. Maybe she was seen in the 30s. I think the article said she's something like 103 years old.
Dang.
So let me get this right. We have a wild orca that's over 100 years old, and the ones in captivity aren't living past 20? There's something seriously wrong here. Now, a big issue for conservationists against SeaWorld is that orcas swim long treks daily. 100 miles a day is not unheard of for an orca. And when they're in captivity, they've got a pool that's, 50 by 50? It's deep for a pool size, but it's nothing like an ocean. Not to mention that these animals are sonar-based hunters, and when you blast a loud noise into a solid object, it bounces right back. A lot of dolphins they've documented are going deaf in captivity because when they emit sonar and echolocation, every bit of that comes back to them. Every bit ricochets off the pools back to their lobes, and it's like sensory overload. In the wild, it only comes back if it bounces off of something. So only a small portion, if anything, at times, is reflected.
And the animals
use that to hunt.
Sensory organs aren't prepared for everything coming back.
Yeah. So bad news for SeaWorld when they're saying that their orcas are only living up to maybe 20. Now, again, the conservationists will blame the tank. The other reason is that if by knowing the orcas don't last very long in captivity, they're being forced to breed earlier on in their maturity. So whereas in the wild they might become of sexual maturity but may still not breed for some years after that, it's my understanding that with SeaWorld, once they hit breeding maturity, they're getting them bred like right away, and that's causing or potentially has
genetic engineering 101.
Well, you got genetic issues, but you've also got the strain on the body. The body's not necessarily technically ready to handle that, and they're forcing it upon them, and they're making them breed far more often. The article for Granny said that she's only mothered like 2 calves. Over a 103-year period, she's had 2. And they've had a couple, and they've had a couple. And, I mean, her pod has like her either grand or great-grandchildren, so to speak, orcas in the pod. But I guarantee you captive orcas that only live 20 years are reproducing that fast, if not, that much more frequent, because SeaWorld needs the orcas because they're not living as long.
It's also in the form of genetic engineering because what you're doing is breeding this strain of that it's only okay to, in a environment that they only live 20 plus years.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not giving a broad, gene pool
Yeah.
to support, you're limiting the genetic coding for sure.
Sorry, that's the really only of genetic engineering that I know. I'm not.
No, it's true. If you've got a tight gene pool selection, then you're going to have all sorts of issues with that.
Yep.
So, bad news for SeaWorld. If you have the opportunity, I recommend seeing Blackfish, but I recommend seeing it with a degree of skepticism. Whenever you're going to watch a documentary of any nature that's advocating for one stance, you have to realize they're going to advocate for the extreme of that stance. They're going to make it out that the other group is doing the worst possible way, period, bar none. And when that group tries to rebuttal, they're going to argue the extreme of their stance. So I always recommend trying to find the middle ground as to where the truth more likely sits.
Yeah. Don't take things. Well, hold on. Let me rephrase it. I started a sentence, then
How to talk.
started another one. I just don't want to. I want to have people get it right. Take things with a grain of salt.
Or do your research,
Yeah.
Get information, understand what it's saying, do research to either validate it or debunk it, and now you're that much more armed for conversations and discussions.
Yeah. Do the research. Don't go blindly.
Yeah.
On what someone says, because as if I've learned, a lot of people can't be trusted.
People lie. I think that's going to about do us, though, for us today. A little bit shorter episode as we're a man down.
Yep.
Do you have something to add?
I'm just thinking that do be prepared. E3 is a month away in June, so get
Very
ready
good.
for the hype train.
Hype train, here we come. Hey, do let us know what you think about this podcast and our others. You can tweet us at Abundance Not, or find us at Facebook at facebook.com/abundance.not. We look forward to hearing anything and everything you have to say. And we'll see you there.
Keep on gaming, and we hope to have the third wheel back next time.
Yes, we do. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next time.